African hockey players or hockey teams, they tend to come from Western nations, really, don't they? So yeah, I think South America could be a hotbed of hockey. Bit of Argentinian flair, that'd be quite good. That
South Africa are in Division 3, along with the mighty Turkey, Bulgaria, Georgia, Hong Kong, and Chinese Taipei.
Hong Kong and Chinese Taipei are doing better than China.
No, China are a couple of divisions further up.
Oh, okay.
China in 2A, then you've got 2B,
okay.
Then it's Division 3, and then the bottom level is Division 3 qualification.
Oh, okay. I just want to double check that, because that would be quite funny, because they are also technically part of China. So, and that's
we're not getting into that.
Yeah, we're not. But I think that's interesting as well, that, those nations, it's interesting that those nations have also taken it up as well. Because it almost feels like a northern equator sort of thing, barring Australia, and I know New Zealand play a bit of hockey as well.
Right then, one last left field one for you.
Okay.
North Korea.
Oh well, Korea. I mean, from the women's side of the game, there's quite a lot of interest, and obviously there was a lot of hype during the Winter Olympics, obviously. Yeah, if North Korea just went... Thing is, that's not the case though, is it? Because North Korea do take a lot of sports seriously and still don't produce. Do you see what I mean? Like, they don't have the Soviet Russian kind of element where they would go, right, we're going to be good at gymnastics. Now everybody who was born will be trialing out gymnastics, and that, you know what I mean? They haven't really had that kind of effect with their nation. It might have something to do with the fact that everybody can't eat, but they don't seem to produce, even when they try and factory it, they don't seem to produce much talent.
Okay, in the latest World Championships, Korea were absolutely humped by New Zealand.
Yeah.
Lost narrowly to the mighty Luxembourg.
Hang on, can I stop you there? Luxembourg, as in...
Yeah.
Has an ice hockey team that currently beat North Korea.
Yep, Game 13 on the 20th of April 2018 finished Luxembourg 2, the People's Republic of Korea 1.
Right, well, I'm going to change my answer now and say Luxembourg. They are the sleeping giants of ice hockey.
They also lost 15-1 to Spain, if you're interested in the Spanish.
Well, they've got a road to go down, but, give them time. Okay, Jonathan, time for my hypothetical. We've talked about what you would do if you owned a hockey club and I gave you £1 million, and I thought we'd go a bit bigger for this one. So I've made you commissioner of the Elite League. Now, I've used the word commissioner because you're the big honcho, you're the one in charge. You are the Vincent Kennedy McMahon of the Elite League, and I've given you £1 million of additional funding. How are you spending it?
Okay, so I like the fact there's a commissioner post.
Yes, you're going to have a great office.
So if commissioners are working like they do in other North American sports, then commissioners work for the owners.
Yeah.
And that ensures the financial success and growth of the franchises.
Yeah.
So immediately, the sort of thing thinking, right, well, how can I help these clubs make money? So it's going to have to be, we've got to raise the profile of the sport.
Yep.
But as we know from our previous discussions with the clubs, £1 million doesn't get as far as you think it would in terms of a marketing budget. So I'm hesitant to just split it and give all the clubs, 80 to 90 grand each. I don't necessarily think that's the way to go.
No.
But in terms of league-wide things that you can do to improve the product and make it look better, can we just make sure that every club is recording their highlights in high definition or 4K? Can we not just get a job lot of cameras and send them round? Can we not do a little training course for all the cameramen? There's some great camera people out there.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of people who are volunteering and just starting up. Can we get them all together and give them some training so that we've got a much better standard of highlight that we can use to market our product with? You
think highlights are that important / powerful?
it's really difficult to put together a hard-hitting, wow, that looks exciting highlight package when you've got one camera at centre ice.
Yeah.
And it's a bit dark and not following the puck very well.
Yeah. But anyone will tell you that the reason why it's a bit dark and not following the puck very well is because the arena in particular is a bit dark and it's difficult to follow the puck. You know, the more modern arenas don't really have that problem, but you know, certainly Dundee and Fife, it gets a wee bit dark in there, doesn't it?
Okay, let's look at it from a different angle then. We've heard, if you ask Elite League fans, what's the biggest problem with the league?
Yeah.
It's not going to take too long, rightly or wrongly, before they mention referees.
Yeah.
So, will it help the product? Will it help the perception of the league in terms of the players wanting to come over here and play here if the standard of officiating is deemed and viewed to be higher? Can we not spend a little bit more on regular referees' conferences? We've already had one before the season that was deemed to be a great success by all who attended it. Can we not have that more often? Can we not pay for more referees' assessors, more fitness testing, a bit higher pay for the referees? More of them can go full-time or be more available. Can we up the standard of refereeing, which ups the standard of people who want to come and play here, which boosts the product?
It's interesting. I think that's a really... I think every league... My problem with that, and I like the kind of the concept, and I think I'd love to see fan forums when we said we're going to spend more money on refereeing. I think that would really divide fans. The Steelers did their preseason against Lexans and Timrah, and the game against Lexans, the second game wasn't brilliantly officiated. It was start and stop. It really killed the flow of the game. You know, and it wasn't great hockey really. And it's interesting because as the Lexans coach came off the ice, one of the fans made a comment about the standard of refereeing here, and he replied simply saying, "Oh, the rubbish where we are too," you know, and that's a pretty high level Swedish team saying refereeing's bad everywhere. And I think most sports would tell you, "Oh, the standard of refereeing's shocking," because referees make unpopular decisions, and when you make unpopular decisions, your judgment is brought into question. You know what I mean? The only sports where you don't have such, "Oh, the umpiring or refereeing is shocking," I think it's in sports like tennis, where there's so many technological backups to make sure that the umpiring and refereeing is better. The NFL, for example, gets it more or less right because coaches can challenge, and there's lots more ways of being able to keep the referees honest. I think you'd be better off, instead of spending it on physical referees, I think you'd be better off spending it on tech, on the ability for coaches to be able to challenge particular calls. Obviously, we've got goal line technology, but more stuff like that, so we can overturn the howlers. Because again, that's what they've done in cricket, haven't they?
Yeah, so accidentally here, my two initial suggestions actually just needed combining into one. Rather than having cameras for highlights and better referees, we just need cameras in different places to help the referees when they get it wrong. Or to confirm that they've got it right.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a cheap operation. That will require a lot of production people. Who will...
I'll tell you one thing we can do. Can we get a slightly higher quality of medal for the league and playoff and Challenge Cup winners?
Do you like the medals? I like the medals. Got the little league logo. It's great.
Yeah, I know the medal is all about what it means rather than what it's made of, but they look a bit tinny.
Bit tinny. Okay. I mean, that won't cost you £1 million.
It won't.
Would you use any of that £1 million on the playoffs?
My concern is if I want to spend the money, I want it to have a long-lasting legacy.
Yeah.
So I don't want this to be a situation whereby when the £1 million runs out, we have to go back to doing it the old way.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
Because you could sort of say, well, actually, yeah, we will expand the playoffs, and we'll make sure that you can afford to pay your players for that extra little bit of time when they're here for another week, but you've got to go and play 3 road games. Because that's the thing. If you extend the season, it's extra weeks that you've got to pay the players.
Yeah.
You're paying staff to sell tickets for Game 7, and then suddenly there isn't a Game 7, you've got to refund them all, and there's all these extra costs. You've got to book a rink and pay the deposit, and then actually you don't need the rink. So you could cover some of those costs. But there's part of me, and it's a big part of me, that thinks it's really good that the playoff final is won every year in front of a packed house on a Sunday evening. I think there's something cool about that. I think it'd just be a little bit of a downer if the playoffs was won by a team on the road midweek in a building that wasn't sold out.
Yeah, I get that. Do you know? I think that's what a lot of fans don't realise when they call for even a 3 or a 5 game series is for the playoffs. Is it works in the EIHL because they can sell out every game. So when the moment happens, when the cup is lifted, it's full to the rafters. I don't think you could guarantee that. Even for playoff hockey, I don't think you could guarantee that.
No. So I don't think we're going to be able to spend necessarily a lot of money on improving the schedule of the league. Although there is one thing that if you wanted to make a big splash, you could potentially do.
Yeah, go on.
Do you reckon we could find an outdoor space somewhere, flood it, and put some temporary stands up for an outdoor game or an outdoor weekend?
Well, they've just done that recently in Sweden, didn't they?
Put it in a football stadium, yeah.
Yeah, it was Lundqvist who did it, didn't he? He went home and filled a football stadium for charity and had an outdoor ice hockey match in the middle of summer. So are you talking like a winter classic?
I'm talking like a winter classic, yeah.
Yeah. Is that...
But rather than just being one game, you could do it for the whole league. Now, if you've got an even number of teams, great. If we get a 12th team next season, and fingers crossed that we do, then we can have 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday. Okay. Make it an extra part of the league fixture. I think that would be a terrific thing. It would make money as well, because of ticket sales and what have you, and all the other things that go with it. But I think that's a sort of one-off thing that £1 million could really do.
Do you think that really helps the profile of the league?
I think it helps the casual fan that is sort of, ooh, what's that?
Yeah.
Because why does the NHL do its Winter Classic on New Year's Day? Because there's not always a lot of other sport going on New Year's Day. Yeah,
and it's a spectacle, isn't it?
If it's not a Sunday, there's no Week 17 of the NFL season. Basketball has their marquee fixtures on Christmas Day. So there's a gap there for some sport. Yes, there's some some college football bowl games often on New Year's Day, but they're usually in the evening. So there's a gap there available. You could probably find a point in the schedule when there's no football. Because there's often loads of football on Boxing Day, the 27th, but maybe you could sort of squeeze it in between Christmas and New Year. A couple of days. If it all falls right, maybe when there isn't much other sport going on, or certainly in this country no football, there might be a few more eyes that are available to watch.
Do you not take your £1 million, give it to a broadcaster like Channel 4, and say, we will give you a game of hockey every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and here's the £1 million to help pay for it, and then produce a show to go out on a Tuesday evening in prime time? Because if you talk about gaps, I think that's where the biggest one is for British hockey. Because I know people are very excited for us being on Free Sports, and I think that is great for British hockey. I don't think it raises our profile too much, because you need to be watching Free Sports to know what's on. You need to be flicking through the channels to know to accidentally land on it. It doesn't really happen like that. There's lots of studies that say actually moving to subscription-based service, or even a Freeview service, doesn't actually help your audience. It normally dwindles it. Wouldn't it be better if we were on free to air, one of the big 5 broadcasters, on a night where there's no sport?
Yes, of course, but I'm not entirely